Did you know that every year we throw away over 600 million batteries? The batteries eventually find their way to a landfill site where they are left to seep and decompose. But the chemicals inside the batteries never decompose. Instead, they go into the ground and pollute our soil. Hi, I'm Kenzie.
I'm Brandon.
And today we're going to talk about rechargeable batteries.
By the end of this presentation, you should agree that customers should use rechargeable batteries instead of buying disposable ones. Disposable batteries have numerous of negative effects, but educating ourselves and choosing greener options, we can begin to make a difference in the environment.
So why should we care about this topic? Well, for one, we all use some sort of battery every single day, whether it be our cell phones, our cars, or computers. Also, batteries are negatively affecting our environment and the world that we live in. So today we're going to talk about four main points. First, we'll talk about the history of batteries, then we'll talk about how batteries actually work, then we'll discuss the negative effects of batteries, and then we'll move on to what the benefits of using rechargeable batteries are.
So we're going to talk about the history of batteries. Batteries are so common to us that they are almost invisible, yet they make a remarkable invention with a long and storied history. The Voltaic pile, which is the first true invention of battery, was created in the 1800s by Alessandro Volta. The battery was made by piling up layers of silver paper of cloth soaked in salt and zinc. However, the Voltaic pile was not good for delivering currents for long periods of time. This restricted and was overcome in the Daniell cell in the 1820s. The Daniell cell was one of the first to incorporate mercury, combining with zinc anode and reducing corrosion when the batteries were not used. We now know that batteries are better than mercury into the batteries. Yet, the battery, which produced about 1.1 volts, was used to power telegraphs, telephones, and even ring doorbells for over at least 100 years.
Different variations of the battery continued throughout the 1800s. Then, in the early 1900s, Thomas Edison, the most prolific of all American inventors, developed the alkaline cell, with iron as the anode material and nickelic oxide as the cathode material. They worked well for industrial use and railroad use. In 1949, the alkaline manganese battery, or as we know it today, the alkaline battery, was developed by Lou Urey. These batteries could supply more total energy at higher currents than any other battery. And by 1950, Samuel Rubin further developed this battery into zinc mercuric oxide alkaline battery, which was licensed to the P.R. Mallory Co. P.R. Mallory Co. later became Duracell International as we know it today.
Now that you know a little bit of the history of batteries, let's move on to how batteries actually work. Electricity, as you should already know, is the flow of electrons through a conductive path like a wire. The path is called a circuit. Batteries have three parts: anode, cathode, and the electrodes. The cathode and anode are hooked up to the electrical circuit, as shown here. In the battery, the only place to go is the cathode. But the electrolytes keep the electrons from going straight in the anode to the cathode with the battery. When the circuit is closed, the electrons will be able to go through the cathode. In the picture that you see here, the electrons go through the wire, letting the light along the way. This is one of the ways of describing how electric potential causes electrons to flow through the circuit. However, the electrochemical process in which chemicals of the anode and the cathode are to make them stop supplying electrons. That is why there's a limited amount of power in the battery.
Now that you know the history and function of batteries, let's talk about the negative effects of batteries. Disposable batteries contain very toxic chemicals, including acid, alkaline, and mercury, that can be very dangerous to humans. If alkaline batteries are damaged or mishandled, the potassium hydroxide may leak out of the battery cell. Severe chemical burns can result if potassium hydroxide comes into contact with the skin or the eyes. Not only are these toxic chemicals dangerous for humans, but they are harmful to the environment. As I mentioned earlier, when batteries are not properly disposed of, they end up in a landfill. As the battery casing corrodes, chemicals leach into the soil and make their way into our water supply, and eventually they reach the ocean. Lithium and lead in batteries react in a volatile way when exposed. According to Battery University, lithium and lead can cause landfill fires that can burn underground for years. This releases toxic chemicals into the air, which increases the potential for human exposure. Lead has been linked to birth defects and to neurological and developmental damage in humans.
Now that you know the history, function, and the negative effects of battery, let's move on to the actual benefits of rechargeable batteries. They are convenient, let's be honest. They're almost everywhere within us. Our phones, our laptops, they can be used anywhere. they can be easily recharged with a simple battery charger. Batteries can come in a variety of designs, which are continuously evolved and become more convenient and reliable and easier to use and durable. Also, batteries chargers can now be charged in numerous ways through wall outlet, computer, USB port, even carport, and we're also seeing now the wireless charging of these batteries. They also have better performance. Rechargeable batteries use 1.2 volts of energy for the entire time they're being used. Disposable batteries start with 1.5 volts and then progressively lower until they are dead. By using rechargeable batteries, you get peak performance at all times, even when the low battery signal light comes on. Rechargeable batteries produce less waste because they can be recharged with a simple battery charger and reused hundreds of times. They also use less energy because recharging with batteries, the charger is more effective, efficient, and the cost of the energy of making new batteries.
Rechargeable batteries are also save time for you. Instead of running to the store or making a trip to the battery section each time you run out of batteries, think about how much time you would save by having rechargeable batteries and a battery charger in your own home, ready to use at any time. Simply put the fully charged batteries in the device and stick the dead ones on the battery charger. Even if you don't have extra recharged batteries, in as little as 15 minutes, you could have your batteries fully charged again, which beats the time it would take to get to the store, get the batteries, purchase them, and go home to use them. Although the initial cost of a battery charger plus rechargeable batteries may make you feel that making the transformation isn't worth it, think about it in the long-term sense. Rechargeable batteries are capable of being used more than 500 times. Imagine buying one pack of batteries instead of 500. Does it seem worth it now?
After hearing the presentation, we hope that you agree that customers should begin to use more rechargeable batteries instead of using the disposable ones. Disposable batteries do have a lot of negative effects, but by educating ourselves and choosing greener options, we can begin to make a difference within our environment.
Earlier I mentioned that over 600 million batteries are thrown away every year. Will you continue to contribute to that number, or will you be a part of the many taking a stand against this dangerous act? After all, the future of the environment is in our hands.